21.
There's a no seat for you. That's terrible. Can we get him a seat? Are you sure? Get him a chair. Can you get him a chair? Just sit there. Come on.
Okay. Jeremy, would you like to start?
Sam, morning.
Right.
What's the news on Tompkins down Saturday goodbye?
We're still waiting on any of those being fit. I think that the more likelihood is James and Johan to be fit, but not training with us yet, but making good progress. I think that that real decision won't happen till either probably Saturday morning, and then we see what we've got available. Not ideal preparation if we do have to make some changes, but we'll work on our system and our shape, and then finally make our selection on Saturday, and who's going to go into battle with Hull City on Sunday morning. So, like I said, not ideal, but important. We try and get as many players back fit as we can. Turn your phone off, and Scott Dan's got a chance if it's worth risking. Purely and simply, they would be fit from the injury, but not obviously match fit, because it's been such a long time since we played Chelsea away. But it may be a calculated risk.
There was a lot of talk last week about your formation defensively. If these guys can make it, how does that influence your thinking?
Martin Kelly's comment, of course, was we didn't work at it that long, but that's true. But also, we changed it to our familiar system after we went 1-0 down. So we conceded 4 goals after that. So I think that tells the story that it wasn't about the system. It was about the fact that we were rubbish. So I think that says it all, you know. So systems are only as good as the players that play within the system. Systems are meant to suit the player or suit the team. We've played with the back three many times this year and been successful. In fact, on our winning streak, we played with the back three going into the last 15 minutes of most games to make sure we secured the victory when we were in front. It was just a poor performance on Sunday, not systems really.
Sam, you say it's bigger.
Oh, sorry, last Saturday, sorry.
You say it's bigger than the cup final this game, but you only have to draw this cup final. So are you playing for a draw?
You're playing not to lose. I think that's the key element. I think that whenever I walked into the building in December, the players were told constantly that it's about not losing now. It's about stopping defeats and making sure that if you can't win, make sure you don't lose. And that was extremely difficult up till recent months, and it's been extremely difficult in the last 3 games for whatever reason. So hold your nerve Sunday, for one, and make sure you produce your best performance. And if that's good enough, then that's great. But best performance is what we want, with an understanding of how we need to play against Hull City to try and win it, which is different for every single game. But there's Hull City we have to compete against, and then there's the size of the game, and it's similar for all. So who deals with the pressure better will be a big factor. Our crowd will be a big help, as long as they don't get nervous. If they get nervous, they'll pass that edge over, and that could make us a little bit more nervous than we want to be. So we all have to try and deal with the emotion of the game on Sunday, and we have to try and come out on top.
But given that Burnley, Sunderland and Swansea have all come here and won, I mean, how worried are you?
Well, I'm concerned because of the nature of the defeat against Burnley. I thought that we were looking extremely good up to then. We were very unlucky, I thought, to lose 1-0 to Tottenham on the Wednesday. But then Burnley getting the early goal was a shock to us on where we were. and didn't really deal with it that well. So that's why I'm saying the clean sheet is all important. That there is an actual factor by the factors saying that if we don't concede a goal, we stay in the Premier League. So the pressure lies on all. All have to win the game. We have to draw it. So if we're defensively very sound and solid, like we were against Arsenal, then we're bound to create some chances at home and hopefully score.
And it's such a massive game, it's such an early start. What do you think about you?
Well, from my point of view, it's great. So you get up and get to the ground, play the game, and then see what the outcome is. Like, I mean, I think that when you linger a full day in terms of, and the player really, I think it suits a player, because you can fatigue mentally while you're thinking or maybe concerned about the game throughout the day. So how you relax and how you approach the build-up for a game in terms of conserving energy is very important. So, you know, we'll get down to Selhurst and, you know, let's get at them and let's get it done and see what the outcome is.
You'll be looking for a big performance from Will, and you've been talking about him not getting enough protection. I mean, how concerned about that are you going into this game?
Well, I mean, it doesn't appear that talking to everybody concerning the referees has had any effect from my point of view, sadly. But like, I can't affect that. I only suggest that and show the evidence that it is the case. I mean, but you know, Wilf has to stop his self getting frustrated by maybe what the referee does or doesn't give him, and make sure he stays on his game. So it's Wilf's responsibility to not get too frustrated if he's been fouled and the referee chooses not to give it, to not let him put it off his game, to make his game better, to run at the defender even more, to commit that defender even more, to make him more and more fouls, and ultimately we'll get the right reward in the end. So that's why I asked for protection, Will, because he gets really frustrated about. I think our last game at home, I think Wilf got fouled in one phase of play 3 times, and the referee never gave a foul. 3 times. I mean, that's a bit of a miracle. 3 times. In one foul, carried on, fouled him again, carried on, fouled him again, and the referee went play on, like I mean. So I think that's a key element for us, because it stops the opposition. If they can't stop him fairly, we'll stop him foully, and it's up to the referee to try and avoid that as quickly as possible, so our flair player can be our match winner, hopefully.
Sam, have you even considered the nightmare option of, you know, having to go to Old Trafford and getting something on the final day?
No, not yet. I think that we've just got to make sure we deal with it. We've had 3 chances to get some points, and we've failed, and three different reasons why we have failed. And I think that Sunday, is another opportunity. So I say to lads, how many opportunities you want? Take this one.
Just one more from me. Wayne Rooney yesterday was rather enigmatic about his future at Old Trafford. He says he wants to play football. If he does move in the summer or wants to go, what about Rooney for Palace?
I think that Wayne's outstanding career at Manchester United would be, for us, financially is the problem. I don't think there's any doubt about the player at all, about the player and his commitment and his desire to play football and play in the first team, because that's been proven over 15 odd years, like I mean, and how many games he wants to play. But financially, I don't think it would be in our sphere.
Sam, as a man who's always put a lot of stock in sports psychology, how important has the mental side of it been going into a game like this?
It's one of the biggest parts of whether we succeed or fail. I think that your intelligence or your football intelligence on the day decides whether you're going to play well or not. Physically, they're fit enough, the lads. And if they hold it together mentally and drive themselves on and stay positive and deliver the best performance, I think that would be good enough.
Have you done any additional work on the mental side of things going into this weekend?
Not really, because you can get them over anxious by talking about this particular game too much. You try to keep it down, keep it calm. There's no need for any motivation. In fact, demotivate the players really because of the size of the game. Like we said, we don't want to get them over anxious. We've got to get them in a nice frame of mind, ready to hopefully go on the pitch and deliver.
Have you noticed any sort of different sense of anything in the air this week because of the nature of the game in training?
No, our training schedule has been disrupted a little bit by some knocks and bruises, and Wardy's got a broken nose, and I think it's Andros Townsend's got a bit of a problem with his Achilles, so we sort of eased down on the training this week and then obviously the players who can train, we've kept it pretty light. I mean, in all fairness, now the players should know what's needed because we've been doing repetitive practices since December the 23rd since I've been here, so it's should only be gentle reminders for me about how to approach the game and them to go out and deliver.
And given all your experience in managing in the Premier League, do you have any standout memories of crunch games in the past like this that you've been in charge for, and can they help you lead the team into it?
There's been a few, I think, but I think Middlesbrough at home last game of the season when I was at Bolton, second season in, and we needed to win to stay in the league, and we were good enough to get 2-0 up by half time, and Michael Ricketts came on as sub for Middlesbrough and scored, which made it 2-1. It makes it pretty nervous for us, and we'd sold Michael in December, so we were getting a bit worried about him scoring another goal. But that was a very tense, nervous affair. But our players at that time managed that situation brilliantly. I think last year, the back-to-back wins by the Sunderland lads was probably the best. The comeback against Chelsea 3-2 and then the 3-0 thrashing of Everton on the Wednesday night was really, if our players have that mentality, we shouldn't have a problem.
And does those experiences help you handle the pressure of the occasion?
It helps me help the players, and it helps me make, hopefully, if need be, the right decisions on the day. I think that as a manager, you're there to adjust or make changes if you feel necessary for one reason or another, and hopefully that experience will give you the knowledge or the feeling on how to do that. But in the end, it's it's about players giving their best performance. That's what it's about, and hopefully the best performance starts from the very first whistle to the last.
Just one more question about how you cope with the players and how you assess them in the build-up to a match like this. Clearly, you've been through these sorts of experiences many times. Do you look at each player individually, that some cope better with bigger occasions than others? Some may need a G-up, some may not.
Yes, we look around for that. We see that. We speak to the players individually on a week-to-week basis. We keep our eye on where we are. I think that the biggest difficulty of all is that going into this game, it's not from the start. We haven't got the full squad. I think in the past, when I think back at the games I just talked about, we've gone into the week to play that game with a full squad available for selection. Here now we're waiting for players that we may select if they get fit or may not, and that's been, if you think about it, that's been one of the biggest disruptions to our season in the last 3 games, because we played Chelsea and we lost Tompkins and Scott Dan in that game, and then we still went on from there to win, and then we played Liverpool when Mama couldn't play, but Tompkins was back, his first game back, and right at the end he got the most horrendous tackle, so he went out again and hadn't played since. Scott Dan hasn't been seen since Chelsea. On the Wednesday we play Tottenham, and Mama Sakho gets a knee problem and unlikely to play again this season, and that really has been one of our bigger problems in terms of the results we've got. The team has been I don't know whether the right word is upset or disrupted by the fact that the flow of the team was so good when those players were fit that it's been disrupted with the amount of injuries, particularly centre half. Then again, Johan Cabaye went down after Southampton, and he became one of our most creative players in assists and goals scored. And these players have been big players for us that have been unfortunately not available. So I believe had all those players been available, we'd be top half of the table by now, but we're not, and we've got to deal with the situation now.
And one question about the crowd. You mentioned earlier it's important they don't get nervous.
Well,
are they going to stop
I can ask them not to, but they will. And that's no doubt about it. I mean, we will have to deal with the nervous pressure of this game, and how to settle your nerves is to excite the crowd on the day and entertain them, not just by the way you play, but by showing that you can handle the pressure and delivering the performance. And certainly one of the most important things would be to try and score the first goal. Never mind the clean sheet. Can you get the first goal as well?
Thank you. Pete.
Sam, what do you make of the job Marco Silva's done at Hull?
Excellent. I think that his record speaks for itself. I think that like everybody else, like here, the recruitment of players has been the difference between us before January and us after January, and it's the same with Hull. The thing is with Hull is we bought 4 and they bought 8, and so Mick before that never got that luxury, but the managing of those 8 players and putting them together as a team so quickly has to be given a lot of credit to the manager on how he's integrated the players and tried to fight their way out. Luca worked with him at Olympiacos, so you know, he says what a good manager he is, and he certainly showed that, you know, in this short period of time.
Last weekend's result surprised you?
No, nothing surprises me in the Premier League anymore. There's that old saying about once the pressure's off, you can release yourself and go and play, like that was the case. And then there's the other scenario: who's going to be the hero? And Sunderland's hero was Pickford in goal on the saves that he make. You know, our hero at Chelsea was Wayne Hennessy, made 11 saves on that day. So big players need to be there when you need them, particularly the goalkeeper as the last line of defence. So, like I said, we've not some big performances from some of the players on Sunday.
It's going to be quite a unique scenario, isn't it? Just before kick-off on Saturday, you going out knowing you'll need a point, they've got to get 3. So does a fear factor creep in then between managers? Well, there's
the old scenario: do you play for a point or don't you? And like I said, I stick to my same philosophy with the players when I arrived here: try and win, but if you can't win, don't lose. And that's it. That philosophy has to apply for Sunday morning. And I think that you know, whatever happens, however well we play or don't play, it's the result that matters. So get the result. However we need to get it. If we can get it with playing well and being creative and scoring goals, then fine. But if we have to get the result ugly, we've got to get it ugly, you know, and that's all that matters on the day.
And dare I mention that the consequences are enormous, aren't they? If you take the case of Blackburn, the team that you're associated with 8 years ago, former Premier League champions, you took them to 10th in the table. They're now in League One. What do you make of that?
Well, that's mismanagement, you know, simple as that, you know. So, you know, I was at Blackburn with a very well-structured football club, and since then, unfortunately, it's slipped down and down and down, and I think that's unfortunate by how the club has been run since I left, sadly. But you know, that happens, you know, in football. I think that changes are made, and sometimes they're not always for the best, and you think they may be for the best, and they're not. Blackburn as a football club was when I got there was steeped in modern day history because it won the Premier League in '95. Mind you, that's quite a while ago now, but I think they learned how to live with the expectation of who they were, you know, and certainly sadly when Sir Jack Walker died, so the millions that, you know, that he funded the club with had stopped, they still managed to find a business plan to continue and stay in the Premier League. And that's very important as a football club, that business plan.
Thank you. Just a second.
Not really, I don't think so. I think that he's been away in France, he's back here now, but I think that it would be just not long enough for the recovery period to think that he would be available for Old Trafford.
Initially, you hope you get him back, is that he's not going to be available?
Sorry?
Initially, you hope he might be back in time.
No, well, I didn't really get my hopes up too much, but we have to wait. We had to wait for the scans and so on and so forth. But when we saw the scans, and then of course there is some players who can recover quicker than others. You know, quick healers. Maybe if he was a quick healer, we might have speeded the process up, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
Just on James Tompkins has got that. In the case of risking Scott Dan, James Tompkins can't play, or could they play together?
Don't know yet. We'll make that decision when we get the word on who's fit and who isn't.
Okay. Thank you. That's the end of the broadcast section.